Hi, this is Jennifer Tescher, President and CEO of the Financial Health Network, and I'm so excited to be here today with Lisa Marsh Ryerson, the President of the AARP Foundation, and Alice Rodríguez, a Managing Director and Head of Community and Business Development at JPMorgan Chase. Welcome, ladies.
So good to be with you.
I am so excited. I'm so excited about this session we're doing because today, thanks to all of you, we are launching Financial Health After 50, Rethinking the Golden Years. It's a 6-part video series sponsored by the AARP Foundation in collaboration with JPMorgan Chase. Last year, our team spent a year meeting and following 11 low and moderate income individuals over the age of 50 from across the country. And they were incredibly generous in sharing how they are navigating their financial lives in their older years. Each one of these people that we followed is facing some incredibly difficult challenges, whether it's paying their monthly bills, taking care of family members, navigating multi-generational living, or attempting to prepare for retirement. And those are all made more difficult by larger systemic and societal challenges. And these 11 adults are really just a sample of the 56 million low to moderate income individuals over 50 across the nation who are struggling to get by. And so today we're going to spend some time talking about what we learned from this work and what are some of the positive solutions that we're seeing out there to try to help deal with some of these challenges. But first, I'm going to ask my colleagues behind the scenes to tee up a brief trailer to give you a sneak peek at this video series.
I got sick in 2013.
In order to make sure we save our house, I had to file bankruptcy.
There's no savings. Be lucky if you come out even or even behind a little bit.
I should not have been my age and not known.
And it gets a little scary sometimes. I think, am I going to be able to retire in 2 years?
When it's gone, I want them to be able to stand up. I've been working since I was 16 anyway.
It's rare that we get to hear from people in their own voices. We've gathered a tremendous amount of data about what it's like to grow older in America. We realized that what it was lacking were the stories of how people are making these complicated decisions about their financial lives.
To be able to go out in a qualitative research project and talk to people where they live will help us do a better job to advance solutions that are actually meeting the needs.
The most impactful thing is to go out into the community and ensure that we're helping all people.
So I hope seeing that little clip makes you want to go watch the entire series, which you can access at the bottom of the screen that you're currently watching us on now. But let's get into it a little bit. Lisa, let me turn it over to you. Talk to us a little bit about why this video series. Why was this an important thing to do?
Yeah, thank you, Jennifer. So again, so great to be with you and your colleagues at Financial Health Network. And Alice, always a treat to be with you and have the great collaboration and support of all of our colleagues at Chase. For us, investing in this work, Jennifer, was furthering our research work with you and your team, which is always so excellent, really top notch. And we wanted to be able to share the human-centered design nature of the work at AARP Foundation as we're increasing economic opportunity for low-income older adults with others. We also wanted to grow our own understanding. And, you know, so often in this nation, I love the title of the video. We actually do believe that there is this kind of plan that everyone has access to for the golden years, even though we know that life doesn't always go as planned. So I think the power of these stories is the generosity of the sharing and the complicated, really intertwined financial decisions that individuals are making over their lifetime. It's led us to make sharper, keener decisions about the tools and services that we're working on, many of them with Chase.
Excellent. We'll get into that in a minute. I agree, though, that all the data in the world pales in comparison to when you hear real people telling you their real stories. It really does bring it to life. So Alice, talk to us about why this was important for JPMorgan Chase, and how does this fit into your work? I mean, obviously you're serving all different kinds of people of all ages and all different stages of life.
Yeah, so thank you, Jennifer. For us, the point that you just made about hearing directly from the customer or from the consumer was critical. And so, as you know, we have been working at JPMorgan Chase on our financial health agenda, and that's it's about serving a very broad group of sub-segments. And the way we want to, talk to and help our youth or our students is going to be very different on how we need to help older Americans, and particularly given the environment that we're in today. And so we recognize that having a trusted partner like AARP was critical, because obviously they are the experts when it comes to older Americans. And we knew that being able to collaborate on listening firsthand to what our customers and consumers were dealing with would be the best approach to then finding the right solutions for them.
Great. So these videos focus on 6 different themes: living on a fixed income, living in a multi-generational household, caregiving, medical shocks, the reality of retirement, and the last episode, which is really one of my favorites, the advice you would give to your younger self. Let's go back to you, Alice, on this. These are obviously themes and ideas that you all hear every day from your customers and in the communities where you work. What really resonated for you as you were listening to people talk about their lives? And what are the biggest challenges that you really hear from your older customers?
Obviously, I think the video series did a very good job of capturing the essence. But for me, it was about helping older Americans just get very comfortable with a variety of ways that they could bank and they could save that they're not accustomed to. And more importantly, what are the ways that we can help them get to that comfort? And so an example I'll use is, you think about, how our lives have changed, right, since COVID, and the number of people over 50 that had not used their mobile device. Like, although they're on their mobile device quite often, like in 2019, there was a survey that said, 2/3 of them had never used their mobile device to do a financial transaction. And the fact that people weren't allowed to go to banks, there was a stay-at-home, obviously order for everybody. And so I felt the work we did with AARP is, we jumped on, we want to ensure that we could provide, a method of communication that's comfortable, that is, people could feel like, even I can do it kind of thing, was the approach that we took. And I felt that was really important. I felt like it was important to do it in both English and in Spanish, because, we found a very large, Spanish speaking population that was really afraid about what should I do next. So I do think that it has led us to sort of this list of additional things that we need to do that we don't necessarily have readily available, that we've been able to put on our roadmap now.
That was interesting, Jennifer and Alice, because just as the videos are all about human-centered design and storytelling, in building with Chase curriculum and resources that are now widely available to organizations and individuals who are listening today, both in English and Spanish, we pulled together groups of people across the nation and sort of practice that human-centered design to really, as much as possible, perfect the tools and resources that are up live now on our website in both Spanish and English.
That's terrific. Lisa, talk to us about what you took away from these videos. I know before the show, we were just comparing notes. We both just binge watched them yet again. They're so compelling. What's really resonating for you? You've been in this business now for quite some time, but it sounds like there were some elements that felt if not new, at least
underscored, right?
Really expressed, exactly.
Yeah, you know, one, Jennifer, for me, I'm going to really give right back to you, which is there's a powerful intro, or maybe it's the ending of one of the episodes in my binge watching that I saw again, and I hear you say frequently, and I underscore it, which is that knowing is not enough. You know, that came through in the videos. So you're right, there were powerful reminders. First of all, a reminder that so many older adults are either already living in poverty or right on the verge. They are one financial shock from falling into a low income status. So that was striking. Also, it's that there is this, these are societal issues, but the individuals, whether it's Werner or Corin or Larry or Ronald or Wilson, really any of the 11 individuals who were so generous with us in their storytelling, they did everything right with the resources and information they had, and yet they feel powerfully responsible in some way. So I'm taken again by the fact that we see people's financial struggles as personal failings, rather than understanding that poverty really is systemic and is a national illness. And so working with Chase and working with you, Jennifer, we're able to have the information to build ever more effective and powerful tools that will help the individuals who shared their stories with us. But they will not work unless we simultaneously address structures in society.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you emphasized that point, Lisa. For me, watching the videos, I was struck by how getting old in this country, it's no longer a moment of dignity.
Right.
For people. We're really stripping people of their dignity, despite the fact that they're doing everything that they can.
Yes.
To live with dignity, to be responsible, to support and be supported by their families. And the sacrifices that they were still making, even at this point in their lives, when they should be able to relax or feel more secure.
Yeah, remember there's a story, Alice and Jennifer, I think it's Corin and Larry, but there's a story of, you know, just sharing, you know, we haven't been away together. And it's a long time ago, like maybe 2005, because there was job loss. We know how hard it is if you've lost a job over 50 to get back into the workforce. And then the job loss, right? One financial shock leads to decision making. It's the connection, the interconnection, a holistic view that we need to take for people.
Right.
Well, you know, one of the things, Jennifer, go ahead, Alice. One of the things just to add to that is that, you know, one of the realizations for us is like, are we doing a good enough job, like to help our bankers and our branches to recognize this and to recognize that people are carrying this shame and they don't need to, like, we're here to help. You know, so what are some of the things that we can power up the bankers with so they can create that environment and culture? And I think, Lisa, some of the work that we did in Harlem at the Center branch, where, you know, we're bringing in older adults and helping them to, obviously this was pre, you know, COVID, but, you know, bringing them in so that they could see, like, look, there's no shame, there's no judgment.
No, that's right.
There's systematic issues. We want to help you. And here's some like tips and tools to do that. And I remember sitting through that session and just seeing people like the anxiety coming down, right? Because they felt like they were in an environment where they could do that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And Jennifer, we wish you would have been with us, but you were certainly there in spirit and intellect, as you often are. We're riding as a team.
Yes.
But I do think what was so powerful about our experience in Harlem and across the nation when we ran our in-person sessions, coupled with, you know, as I was seeing the video series unfold, is that you combine that with the great work at Financial Health Network, helping us all understand the opportunity for fintech developers, for organizations, and for individuals that remember, Alice, what we saw and could talk with the participants about is you can come in any time, but there are certain financial transactions that you can make safely using financial technology. And then when you come in, you still come in and we can have a chat about how you're doing, just so that the bankers can be touching base. It really was so powerful for me that Chase is banking in community and how helpful that was to see that in Harlem.
So both of you have touched on COVID. These interviews were largely done before COVID. But Alice, you in particular talked about how with shelter in place, technology use became even more important, including for some older Americans who might not have used, let's say, the bank's app before. I do think that we tend to underestimate older Americans and their use of technology. The studies show that actually they are pretty frequent users of technology, and why there are specific reasons why they may choose, at least in the past, pre-COVID, to not use financial technology in particular. We, in addition to all of the work we've been describing today, we also released a report last month with your support and partnership called FinTech Over 50, Designing for Low and Moderate Income Older Adults. And we, again, took a human-centered design approach. We connected directly with older Americans, and we spent time trying to understand their attitudes, their preferences, their abilities around using technology to meet their financial health needs. The report, you can also find that on the same screen that you're watching us on now. And I think it's really interesting, some of the insights that we took away from what people want, what people are challenged by. I wonder, Lisa, Alice, if you'd like to talk a little bit about that from your perspective.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in first, and then Alice has such experience in this space. But, just as we said at the beginning around our video series, where there's such a stereotype about what it is to be retired or how long people are needing or wanting to work, same exists, we learned through research and know with FinTech, and older adults are over it. There is this stigmatizing or stereotyping saying, well, you're older, so you don't know how to use technology. Not so, as your research confirmed again for us, Jennifer, and really wanting to have that regard, that respect, design with their unique needs in mind. And, as long as we're building into the solutions, the coaching and education along the way, there will be, I believe, much more robust adoption. Likely that's occurred already during COVID-19, but I'd be curious, Alice, for your views.
Yeah, I know 100%. And I think that coaching and education is what is critical, Lisa. And I do think that, the PR and communication that we set with AARP once COVID was happening was really important, because it wasn't so much about, again, okay, we're afraid of technology, but it was about making the older American also aware of, unfortunately, when we have these kinds of crises in the country, you also kind of see increased fraud.
That's right.
To make sure that, look, the technology to do your banking is very, very safe. You should feel very comfortable. It's very easy. It's user-friendly, etc. However, we also want you to know that, unfortunately, in these times, here are some common, scams or frauds that you might see. And remember that a bank will never, ever, ever threaten you or act with this sense of urgency, asking you to take action or ask you to provide any personal information. And I don't know, I felt like really proud about that, Lisa, because I was on Despierta America, doing the segment in Spanish and making them aware of the AARP website. Spent the host really wanted me to spend a lot of time on the piece regarding fraud and scams, because he said it's just those little tips and those insights that, quite frankly, I think everybody needs, but just wanting to make sure that, unfortunately, older Americans become a target in these situations. And so that education, I just keep pounding it with my team. Yes. Do we have enough content? Do we have enough, both digitally as well as in our branches, to make sure that everybody is safe?
Yeah, and you're right. This is a time when sort of the scammiest scam artists, come out and prey upon vulnerable people, because there is also a lot of isolation that goes along with poverty. So, being an older adult of low income does increase risk for social isolation in our lives. And then COVID on top of it, right? It's a bit of a double whammy for social isolation. And that can then, not only does it have hugely negative health impacts that certainly get at this issue of rising healthcare costs, but it can make an older adult more vulnerable to pick up the phone if there's a scam or something else. So Alice, I'm glad you brought it up. And AARP is a wonderful fraud watch network, and we have all of those resources at the AARP Foundation and Chase collaborative site, along with all of the links to the research for Financial Health Network that you've been engaging in with us.
Thank you. The report that we did around older Americans in fintech talked about some important principles when designing for that demographic. The one that, the two actually that I thought were most interesting was one is putting users in control. One of the things that older Americans in particular don't like is the idea that they set it and then things are happening and they're not able to turn it on, to turn it off, to control it. I thought the other thing that was super interesting was this idea of they're feeling stigmatized in the sense that when you see ads for fintech apps, you don't see any older Americans usually in the pictures in the marketing. It's all marketed at young people. And so they don't actually feel like they are a valued customer. And so those are two things I think to keep in mind. I do have a question from the audience that relates back a little bit to this issue of scams, but also to a different kind of access, to broadband access.
Yes.
The question is around what safeguards can be built in for the use of mobile technology? And like what happens if all of a sudden you lose your internet access? And what are we doing to make sure people have internet access in the first place, particularly in rural areas, or to have it be affordable? That sort of seems like a prerequisite in order to even engage in the first place.
Yeah, again, Alice and I can both jump in on this. I really appreciate, thank you for the question. And it's important because as we're now disrupting digitally, which will allow us to have very effective solutions available to more individuals who need them, and certainly to more low income and vulnerable older adults, we have to remember that not everyone has access to the internet, either because broadband isn't available or because they can't afford it. So it really is the right question. I'm really proud that my colleagues at AARP work on these issues all of the time. This is one of those systemic issues, right? If we want to build equity, into society and communities, we have to be sure that we're looking at access to fundamental services that provide financial inclusion and inclusion at all levels in communities. So I would say providing that service, then having affordability of tools that need to be in people's hands. And then I think, Alice, you can speak to the fact that as it relates to the way the bank builds technology, safety and security is the top priority when you're building out. And when we're building out at AARP Foundation, My Savings Jar tool or our Self-Saver tool.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it is a top priority. I do think that the issue of broadband is real. I have seen some of the communication partners like step it up, as particularly during COVID, where they were providing those services. I believe Comcast was one of the examples. But I think we need to find a more long-term solution, quite honestly, Jennifer. And it's something that I know that our foundation, the JPMorgan Chase Foundation, is looking at with different partners, but we recognize that it definitely is an opportunity.
Often when we think about the need for more and cheaper broadband access, the people we tend to first think about are school children.
Yes.
But, understanding that this affects everybody, including older Americans, it strikes me that there's maybe a new coalition that can be built on this issue, a much broader coalition maybe than ever before.
I think you're right. You're right, Jen. And also one that's multi-generational, because as you've been saying, and as Alice said earlier about the videos, reminding us that financial education really needs to start early on in the life. And we heard that in the videos. So I think a coalition is great, one with intergenerational. When I was doing my binge watching last night again of this terrific series and body of qualitative research, I thought this should be shown in families. It should be shown in schools, when we're providing financial literacy and education, talking to these really generous, wonderful older adults who are just sharing their stories. Probably, I was trained as a teacher, would have great impact, across the generations.
Yeah, I agree.
I also think that, just to pick up on your point, Jennifer, about, just some of the insights, right, from the research that's been done around not feeling like the fintechs are targeting, right, this population. I've been very proud of the work that JPMorgan Chase has done with the foundation as it relates to the Financial Solutions Lab, which obviously you guys do a fabulous job of partnering with us on. And I think that that's a real opportunity, is to, as we're getting all of those insights and we're working with these different fintechs, as particularly the ones that are targeting older Americans, I think that that's going to be an opportunity to take a lot of these learnings and create some even better innovation. I know that the members of the Solutions Lab are already doing some great work, but I don't know, part of me says, as you look at these videos, like, okay, maybe we reset.
I'm with you on that, Alice. I was thinking, rewatching, but also, Jennifer, hearing you bring up, just underscoring how much the research has identified the barriers that exist. So it is innovation, just as we do at AARP Foundation. Your innovation has to intentionally be addressing the barriers and complexity of financial decision-making over time. Otherwise, we get our heads turned by exciting product or service ideas in search of a solution. And so when the research is driving us to root causality or barriers, let's leverage it. Let's leverage it in innovation.
Yeah, and I on the one hand, I think there's power in encouraging entrepreneurs to build solutions specifically for older Americans. I think, though, we fall short if we stop there, because I think that there are lots of existing tools or new tools being built that really could be useful for anyone.
Yes.
As long as they're designed, that they take into consideration certain design principles that are particularly important for this demographic, and that they then think about their marketing so that, again, it feels like it's for everybody. So there are some needs that are unique to older Americans, but there are many needs they have that are similar to many other people who are struggling. And if we could really harness the full power of fintech, I think we'd see even more opportunities and solutions.
I mean, no surprise to me that you've raised another critical point, which is there's a lot of design that is just age inclusive, right? Across the life course or the lifespan. And as the research shows, so then when you have a great tool or product that could be used by all, just really drive into your marketing campaign so that you're speaking to all the audiences, both visually in your images and also in your language. And, we find this, I bet you do at Chase as well, Alice, which is when I think about the work the income team at the foundation has done to build out my savings jar for using community savings groups and challenges with a digital tool, or Self-Saver, which is helping, self-employed individuals plan and save for their taxes. Many of the participants are younger than 50. So it does, our experience proves what you're saying, Jennifer.
Lisa, I'm glad you took the conversation in the direction of solutions, because I want to spend our closing time here talking about what's happening, what good work is already happening, and what needs to be happening. So you mentioned a couple of products that AARP and the foundation have designed, My Savings Jar, and I'm sorry, remind me the second one?
Self-Saver.
That's right, Self-Saver. I'd like you to either talk a little bit more about those or talk about some additional solutions that you all have built. And what else you think is lacking. And then Alice, the same for you.
Yeah, happy to quickly. And I want to start by saying, I think the most powerful solution is what the three of us are representing, finding organizations who have common mission and passion and commitment to increasing financial resiliency for underserved individuals and communities. That collaboration across sectors is really key toward finding pathways, I think, for success for individuals and communities. But our tools are designed to reach the barriers that the research has identified. And so Self-Saver, as I said, recognizes that for many older adults, again, the video series underscores this, they lose a job, they can't find a job when they're older, they're making decisions about being an entrepreneur or being self-employed. And then it's like, aha, how do I pay my taxes? So Self-Saver really is a digital tool that allows that. My savings jar addresses what you've done so much research in, Jennifer, with Financial Health Network, such a low savings rate across this nation, and urging and coaching people to have a habit of savings, not to then hold it in your savings account because you need financial slack, right? Something happens, use it. We tie all of those solutions with our workforce training, upskilling, reskilling, and the need for individuals to continue to be employed, both because they need to and they want to. So again, the big solution is innovation coupled with programs that are working in communities today and driving integration of the resources.
And before I turn it over to you, Alice, earlier this week, I think it was day one, the theme of Emerge was livelihoods.
That's right.
About work, about the role of employers, about small business. I think that we, again, the stereotype is, older Americans, they're stopping working. These videos will show you that
they are not.
People want to stop, they are not.
No, we have the one video of a woman who's still working 2 jobs, right?
Correct.
And worried about when she has to stop. So they're not stopping. First of all, if you do, you don't have income, but you fall out of the safety net, right, of so many benefits and programs you have. AARP research also indicates that age inclusion or age diversity in a workforce is good for business. Yeah. So it's another one of those lenses of diversity and inclusion that we should be thinking about.
I also think that the number of solutions we're seeing come online that are aimed at gig worker employees, many of whom are older Americans, again, is an example of where we can't forget that older Americans are a big part of that market. In fact, on the very first video, one of the people we talked to is hoping to drive for Lyft.
That's right.
So let me turn it over to Alice. Talk to us about solutions that you've put in place or that you're seeing out in the world, and any gaps that you'd like to see filled.
Yeah, so last year we rolled out our auto save program. So very similar to what Lisa is talking about with Savings Jar with the AARP product. Auto save allows you to set different goals and set different payday rules so that you can make that transfer right from your checking to your savings, with a real strong emphasis on people like building their rainy day fund. We've had a lot of great success with that. We're very excited about the results that we're seeing, and we continue to amplify it with all of our customers. The second is our secure checking product. We really saw a need for a very simple checking account product that did not allow you to overdraft. Again, being very sensitive to particularly people that are on very tight budgets and who are in a very, limited income. And again, lots of great success. It doesn't allow you to overdraft. It's a checklist checking account. It allows the customer free money orders, free cashier's check. And again, we have found that for some people, right, they just want simplicity. They want a very simple account that has a very low monthly fee, that they don't have to worry about any unnecessary fee, because as you guys have mentioned, even a small fee that you're not expecting can take people into a little bit of a tailspin. And then finally, I'll mention that through the JPMorgan Foundation, we have made a $250 million commitment to just business and philanthropic around the economic challenges that we have. Again, specifically related to what's happened with COVID, as we all know, particularly in our minority communities, in our low to moderate and some of our low to moderate income communities, we've just seen a really big impact. So we know all the stats, right, that people struggle with prior to COVID. Now it's just like magnified, like, I would say like, 10 times, maybe 100 times. So we're proud of what we've put on the agenda so far, but we know we have so much more to do.
I could keep going on this conversation, but I have to wrap it up. And I want to wrap it up by reminding everyone who's watching and listening that under the related content on this page, you're going to find the videos. For each video, you're going to find an accompanying brief that goes into detail about the statistics and the research. You're also going to find a sign up for a couple of webinars that we're doing later in July, diving into some of the specific themes that came out of the video. And you can also see the FinTech report that we mentioned earlier also there. So you have lots of reading to do if you want to continue to explore this important topic. Thank you so much to Lisa and to Alice for your partnership, for your support, and really for championing this really important set of issues.
Happy to be in the work with the two of you.
Ditto.